Hi everyone, we're now in the nerve center of Andiamo. Let's bring Chef Jim up here so he can do his magic.
Thank you, appreciate it, Pat. We are back in our kitchen where we prepare everything fresh, everything daily from scratch. We're going to walk you through a couple of our favorite dishes that we've been preparing at Andiamo for almost 25 years. We just celebrated our 25-year anniversary. So based on making everything fresh, making everything prepared from scratch in our restaurants every day has been the lifeblood of what we started 26 years ago, and we still continue that in our kitchens today. And that's what we're going to kind of walk you through and start to focus you on. So in a nice hot skillet here, I'm going to start with a little bit of olive oil. We're going to let that start to warm up. I'm going to take some freshly diced chicken. I'm going to liberally season the chicken with salt and pepper. And I'm going to move the chicken to a nice little flour bath here. And I want to lightly dust it. When you coat proteins with flour, it really helps lock and seal in the juices when it's being seared, and it provides a wonderful caramel exterior on it. So it's going to have a wonderful dark brown kind of caramelized look to the chicken. It'll help seal the juices into the chicken, and it's going to help promote a wonderful aesthetic color to the overall preparation in the final dish. So in a medium hot skillet, we're going to go ahead and add that chicken. We're going to allow it to start to sear and begin to caramelize. Very important that we control and regulate the heat as we're cooking dishes. As the pan starts to get a little bit hotter, I'm going to reduce the heat down just a little bit so I can make sure that the chicken is cooked and browned nice and evenly all the way through, but I want to make sure that it's not either burnt on the outside before it's cooked all the way through, or that I leave it in the pan too long and then it becomes tough and chewy. So that's the hardest thing to learn about cooking, is proper seasoning and how to tell when things are done. Everybody always asks me, well, how do I know when it's done? How do I know? How long? How long? Well, that's what 25 years of cooking experience gets you. That's why there's culinary schools. Unfortunately, there's not a magic wand that you get to wave, or when something goes in the oven that it's always ready in 20 minutes. Every oven's different, pan thicknesses are different heat sources, so it's very difficult. So I go a lot by sound. I can actually hear this cooking. If you can hear that sizzling in the pan, I hear it caramelizing and cooking. I visually can see it, I can smell it, and obviously I rely on my sense of touch. So it's very important to rely on all of your senses when you're cooking. And you'll see here I'm starting to get some wonderful browning on that chicken if the camera's picking that up. We love to share all of our recipes, so if you go to independencetelevision.com, you're going to find these recipes that we've posted so that you can reproduce these dishes at home. It's very important to follow the recipe. We spell everything out for you very easily so that you can reproduce these wonderful favorites at home. So wonderful browning here in the pan as the chicken's caramelizing. I'm going to add my prosciutto and a little bit of fresh diced onion. The chicken's only about half cooked at this point, but I want to make sure that these onions and this prosciutto caramelizes along with the chicken in the pan at the same time. So what is prosciutto, you ask? Wonderful question, Pat. Thanks for bringing that one up. Prosciutto is a salt-cured, air-dried ham. We actually take a bone-in ham, which is the rear leg of a hog. We salt-cure it with spices and herbs, and of course salt, and we hang it for about 12 to 18 months. The most famous prosciuttos come from Parma, hence the name Prosciutto di Parma. We do cure our own prosciuttos here at Andiamo. We call them, Prosciutto di Detroit, but obviously the most famous come from Parma, Italy. So as this starts to caramelize, I'm just going to start to render this. So if you think about rendering bacon or cooking bacon, that's really the kind of the effect that I'm going here for, is to make this pork product just caramelize until it becomes crisp. You can see the onions are starting to brown, the wonderful aroma that's coming off that pan from all that caramelization. And the neat thing is I'm starting to get what we call fond, F-O-N-D. I have my white wine ready here. I'm going to go ahead and deglaze the pan with my white wine. As that white wine deglazes the pan, it's going to lift all of that caramelization off the bottom of the pan. Not only was the prosciutto, the onions, and the chicken starting to brown, but we were also getting brown on the bottom of the saute pan or the skillet. As I deglaze with that white wine, it lifts that fond, actually creates it into the dish, and you can see I have a nice, beautiful, toasted almond brown color already to my sauce. So whenever you add wine or alcohol to a dish, you always want to reduce it by at least half. Alcohol boils at a lower temperature than water does, so the alcohol is going to burn off very quickly. I'm going to come over here to my table. I'm going to add a little bit of chicken stock. And I have a little bit of cream. Again, this is all in the recipe that we posted for you at independencetelevision.com. We're going to bring this back to the stove. The chicken is about 95% cooked. The onions are fully cooked. The prosciutto has been rendered, i.e. crisped and browned. We reduced all the beautiful color and flavor from the skillet into the sauce with the white wine. We cooked the alcohol out, added a little bit of chicken stock, a little bit of cream. I'm going to come with a little bit of rosemary. It'll help add a unique flavor to the dish. Always a pinch of salt and pepper, and this is all based on taste. But you have to season everything that you cook. We season the chicken in the beginning. We'll go ahead and season the sauce. And right at the end, I'm going to add my fresh peas. I want to make sure that they keep their wonderful bright green color and just cook into the dish for about the last 20 seconds or so. I don't want to boil my protein, so as this sauce starts to come to a boil, I'm going to turn the heat down and just make sure that that chicken gently finishes braising inside the wonderful sauce. And again, the most difficult part of our job, Pat, we always have to taste everything before it goes out.
Boy, this is the part I was waiting for.
It's going to be very hot, so what we do is we take a little spoonful, go ahead and blow on it.
Oh, delicious.
Make sure we have a nice balance of flavor. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for the wonderful caramelization from the chicken, the acid from the white wine, the richness of the cream, the background flavor of the rosemary, a unique sweetness that the sweet peas introduce into it. So it creates a nice balance of flavors. I'm going to go ahead and reduce that heat down and just let it finish off. We have our pasta that's ready here. So the name of this dish, we actually call it Paglia Fieno. And why do we call it that? It actually means straw and hay pasta. So you can see the pasta that I'm adding to this is actually a combination of a spinach and egg pasta. So it has a green and a white color to it. They're both made with egg, but of course one is flavored and colored with spinach. Anytime I add pasta to a dish, I'm going to hit it with just a little bit more salt and pepper just to season that pasta. And in America, we really think that, dishes should be very saucy or they should be, buried with sauce, and that's really not the case in Italy. So I'm going to just you can see I'm massaging the noodles with this sauce, letting them just baste in there. And we're going to go ahead and plate this and finish it right before your very eyes. So coat the pasta with the sauce. I'm going to go ahead and make a nice nest here in the center of the plate with that pasta, and then just kind of randomly pour this over. And around. Just give the dish a final little wipe as we're plating it, but we like it to have a little bit of a rustic. It's a rustic dish. I don't want it to look like we hand built it, but you can see the nice color from the chicken that we talked about, the crisp pieces of prosciutto. The peas really pop throughout the dish, and I love the golden brown color to the sauce that really incorporated all that caramelization. We have 4 taste buds: sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. So we want to make sure that we accentuate all 4 of those taste buds in every dish. So it's something unique. Like I said, the sweetness of the pea kind of stimulates that sweet taste bud without it tasting like sugar. So we really try to stimulate that palate, and the only way I can describe that, it would be like a 4-piece orchestra versus a symphony. What's going to sound better? A 4-piece orchestra playing a song or a 60-piece orchestra playing the same song? So the more harmony of flavors that I can produce on your palate, the more successful we're going to be. Andiamo came into being in 1989. Our owner, Joe Vicari, bought the original Andiamo at 14 Mile in Van Dyke in Warren, 1989. He was joined then by Chef Aldo Attivani, who was a very, very reputable chef, came from Italy in the 50s, opened a world-famous pizzeria, an Italian restaurant in Detroit, 7 Mile in Kelly. Famous throughout Detroit. Him and his wife had run the restaurant together. He had sold the business in the late 80s and was going into retirement. Him and Mr. Vicari partnered up, and Andiamo was really born and launched in 1989. Mr. Aldo was in our kitchens every day with the same old world mentality and traditions of we buy the best, we inspect it. We'd go to the market every morning at Eastern Market picking out produce and picking out our meats, lamb and veal, butchering and fabricating everything in-house. So we still hold those same old world traditions true today, and that's really my goal, is to just carry on the legacy that he's created. What do I love most about my job? What do I love most about cooking? I love creating with my hands. I love the instant gratification. There's no other business, there's no other industry. Well, I should say there's probably very, very few industries where your products, your vision is actually consumed and enjoyed right in front of you, and you get immediate feedback and immediate results. And if you stop and think about that, there's not another field or another industry where you get that immediate feedback and then people pay you when they leave. It's even better. I get asked a lot, how do you become a chef, or how does one get involved in the cooking business? I think it's very important that you start at a young age, like I did. Get into the business, you get a feel for it at a very young age. So by the time I graduated high school, I was already 4 years into the restaurant business. I already knew what it was all about. I had an understanding of it. We call it kind of the dance. I knew how the flow of a kitchen worked, the pace, the atmosphere, the intensity of it. So when I decided I was going to go, I actually went to Albion College, was a physics major, and switched my career midway through college, and I ended up going to culinary school later on. So to answer your question about becoming a chef, your education is very, very important, but it's a stepping stone just like anything else is. It's real practical field experience and knowledge working in the business is what gets you to the next level.
Innovation is what distinguishes the difference between a leader and a follower. Now here at Independence Television, we give the community members and students here at the high school the opportunity to become innovators.
Guys, I made this went viral on YouTube!
Want to get updates on what's going on around town and in your community? Check out Independence TV Weekly Update. Hey, good job out there, Lauren.
Oh, thanks, Chris, but get out of here.
You got a show you're looking to create for the community? Independence Television has got you covered.
Chris! What are you doing here? We covered it!
Here at Independence Television, we give the students the opportunity to make their very own video production. Here, Wolfie, I'll show you.
Oh, Chris, what are you doing? Turn around.
Here at Independence Television, we help make your dreams a reality. Now, right now, you're probably seeing some credits and names roll across the screen. Most people with a logical brain would skip these credits. But you should know that this was made possible by these people here. And if you're ever feeling down about life, just watch all of our videos and make us famous right now. Credits are rolling. The credits are rolling. The credits are rolling. Yeah. Thank you. Good night. Guys? Guys, is it... Hey, who's that I hear walking? Why do I hear feet shuffling? Did someone just leave? Guys? Hello? Hello?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second half of the show. Chef Jim was making magic with chicken, but he says no more standing around, Pat. He says we're going to get you cooking on this dish, and what my favorite is the veal. So, Chef Jim, tell me what to do.
We're going to get our skillet warm, be ready for that. So we have beautiful cutlets of veal. I'm going to have you go ahead and take a little bit of salt and pepper and liberally season, nice and evenly, very nice. When we talk about seasoning, that's what we're looking for. A nice, generous, but liberal, even coating over the entire surface of the veal. This actually comes from the leg section, so that it has a nice moisture content, like a chicken thigh. Think about a chicken thigh, how nice and moist that is. So this comes from a leg of veal, so it's going to have a nice moisture content. It won't be too lean and dry out on us, but it's also extremely tender, and that's what we're looking for. So again, we're going to put just a little amount of flour. When I say dusted with flour, That's exactly what I want, is I just want it dusted, just like you'd have on your mantle. So nice, light little coating on it. If it's too heavy, it's going to actually scorch in the pan, and there'll be little residual pieces of flour that are going to be burning in the pan, and that's not what we're looking for. Again, this is called Veal alla Aldo, or in the style of Chef Aldo, who was our original master chef that created really Andiamo brand with Mr. Vicari starting back in 1989. So beautiful preparations, and this is what you see a lot in Italian cooking, is that when you start with high quality ingredients imported from all over the world and prepped and prepared in-house, things don't have to have a ton of flair, they don't have to have a lot of fat, they don't need a lot of salt. The components of the dish actually speak for themselves. So we're going to go ahead and just, again, we want to caramelize this. So when I say caramelize, I try not to do a lot of stirring, I try not to do a lot of flipping, just like I'm going to cook hash browns. I want to leave them sit in the pan, and I'm going to flip them once and get a nice color, as you can see then on my veal. We're going to flip it and make sure we get a nice sear on the other side.
Oh, the aroma is unbelievable.
So we love prosciutto here. We're going to feature prosciutto again. So I have slices of prosciutto, and these are topped with a little bit of fontina cheese. Fontina is a wonderful soft cow's milk cheese, so it's going to add a nice flavor to the dish. Veal is very mild, so we don't want to do a strong cheese where we're going to overpower it. So we're looking for complementing flavors. Because I start with a nice high quality olive oil, I don't have to worry about discarding that oil. That beautiful olive oil is going to add a nice flavor and richness to the dish. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat up a little bit. We're going to add our white wine again. And you might ask, veal with white wine? Absolutely. Red wine, again, too intense. It's going to overpower the subtle flavor of the veal. So we're going to go with a white wine, and again, reduced down by half. I have a little pinch of sage that I'm going to put here into the wine while that's reducing. A little bit of rosemary. We're going to go ahead and add to this. So what wine do you cook? So you're following along in IndependenceTelevision.com. You're saying, okay, the recipe calls for white wine. Well, what kind of white wine? Whatever you're drinking with dinner. So when you open a bottle of white wine, if you're going to enjoy it with dinner, I would just pour a little bit off of that bottle, and that's what I would use. And then it creates a beautiful marriage of flavors as you go ahead and enjoy your meal.
Oh, it looks great.
So as that wine starts to cook down by about half, we want to add a little bit of our roasted veal stock. So I know at home you're going to say, well, I don't have veal stock. Well, that's when you go to aisle 7 at your local grocery store, and up on the top shelf you'll see a roasted beef stock or a veal stock. Comes in either a can or a little cardboard container. So you can go ahead and use that. Obviously you're not going to get the same flavor profile in the dish, but it'll be very close. I'm going to add just a little bit of butter here to finish my sauce. So in classical fashion, this is a traditional, what we call a pan sauce, and this should really be in everyone's repertoire. What do I mean by a pan sauce? Well, we go ahead and we deglaze, well, we saute our meat, deglaze with wine, add our garnishes or our components, and then we make a little bit of a stock or a little bit of renderings from the dish with a little bit of butter, and it's going to create a beautiful little pan sauce. To add another little element to the dish, veal, prosciutto, cheese, we have a little bit of our homemade tomato sauce here. So we're going to go ahead and top this with a little bit of our tomato fillet from our tomato basil sauce. Not only does it add beautiful aesthetic colors like the Italian flag, but the sweetness again from the tomato. So I think about sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. So sweetness is going to come from the tomatoes. A little bit of bitterness comes from the caramelization of the meats and that fond and caramelization that we've developed in the pan. Saltiness, obviously we put a little bit of salt on the veal and then the prosciutto itself. So we're going to get a lot of those sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. And as that wine burns down too, it also becomes a little bit tannin, and you're going to get a little bit of sourness from that as well. So I'm going to let this just go ahead and kind of simmer down, let that sauce reduce. Whatever vegetables are here in season, we're going to add a little bit of green beans here with a little bit of tomato as well to kind of help accentuate that. Yep. We're going to serve a little bit of pasta with it too. We have a little bit of olive oil and garlic going here, so we'll go ahead and get a little bit of pasta ready, and we'll go ahead and plate this. So as that dish is just finishing off, I'll show you how to build a beautiful composed plate here, and we'll get everything ready. So a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of garlic here. I'm just going to saute that quickly. I'm going to finish it with lots of parsley, a little bit of Parmesan cheese. So
You made reference to tomato sauce. For those who doesn't have the don't have tomato sauce at home, what would they pick up at the market?
You go to your local market and buy the Andiamo brand sauce.
There we go.
We actually market all of our own brands of sauces. We have 7 different types of sauce that we bottle and you'll find in your local grocery store. So we have a beautiful tomato basil, a marinara, a vodka sauce, which is incredible. The wine and mushroom is probably hands down everybody's favorite, along with our palmina sauce. So you'll find a great, and all of our sauces, the unique thing about our tomato sauces is they're made with San Marzano tomatoes. Those tomatoes are imported from Italy. At the base of Mount Vesuvius is where they're grown. Very volcanic soil, so it provides a beautiful fertility and natural filtration system for the tomatoes. And the cool coastal climate, they have all-day sun, but nice, beautiful breeze coming off the ocean. So it's the premier growing ground in the world for tomatoes. So you could take the same seed and try to grow it anywhere else in the world, and it's never going to come out as well, just because of the soil that we have there in Italy. So a little bit of spaghetti pasta here, just with a simple olive oil and garlic. So show you how we prepare our dishes when you come. A little bit of our fresh homemade pasta, lots of parsley, a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Again, nice bright colors. Everything looks fresh, aesthetic. So that's ready. Our green beans with just a little bit of tomato sauce will help accentuate that veal. So we can come over here and we'll get ready to plate this. Grab a nice sized entree plate. Pat, I know you look hungry this morning.
Yeah, with this cooler-like physique of mine, I do like food.
We'll go ahead with our pasta there on the plate. Go ahead with a few of these green beans. Just kind of nestled off to the side here. And now for the real star of the show here, our veal. Let me grab a spoon.
Yep, let me get out of your way.
Don't be you're not in my way one bit. Veal just cooked perfectly. The sauce reduced down wonderfully. Nestle these together very attractively here on the plate. We'll take that residual sauce, just pour it over everything. And there we have, in tribute to Chef Aldo, the founder and really the brains behind the Andiamo brand, veal alla Aldo.
Looks wonderful. When do we eat?
Time to go right now.
Thanks. Thanks,
My
Jeff.
pleasure. Appreciate it. How do we provide healthy, good quality meals to our customers? Because we control everything ourselves. I don't buy anything pre-made, pre-packaged, frozen. We make everything fresh from scratch. It starts with our stocks, it starts with our pasta, it starts with our all-natural meats, natural wild seafood programs that we have. So everything that comes in our back door is in a natural state, and it's unadulterated. And that's why I think where you really get into the trouble when you start talking about items with high fat, high sodium, preservatives and growth hormones. It's all in the pre-packaged, pre-prepared foods. And a lot of restaurants, that's how they operate. They buy their steaks and their fish and their meats pre-cut and prefabricated. They buy their sauces pre-made, and that's just not who we are. So just naturally, from the way that we've done business for 26 years, it lends us to that healthier, lighter style of cuisine. Our customers know absolutely that they can dine here with confidence. We became an Andiamo about a year and a half ago. It was January of 2014. We were Mesquite Creek for a long time, a staple in the community here for about 20 years. And we switched to an Andiamo in January of 2014. And people asked, well, why the switch? We loved what you were doing. And we got together as our management team, the owners and partners and myself, and we decided to hire a focus group. It's hard for me to think what everybody wants. So we polled people from all over Metro Detroit, especially here in Clarkston, and we really said, what would you like us to provide? Mesquite Creek was owned by Andiamo for about the last 5 years or 6 years it was in existence. And we just said, what would you guys like? And the feedback from the community here in Clarkston was, you guys, we love Andiamo, we love the food, you should just make it an Andiamo. So that's what we did. We We closed our doors for a couple weeks. We remodeled and reopened here in Clarkston as an Andiamo, and that's the feedback that we got from the community, that's what they were looking for from us. So we're very happy to be doing business here in the city of Clarkston. We have a great following, loyal following. We're very proud of that. We're very actively involved with a lot of the high school athletics and a lot of the fundraising and charity, here in the community, and that's very important. Our company is owned by the Vaccari family. We are a very large corporation, but we are still, again, a family-owned Metro Detroit business.